All right. All right, Jimmy, what you got for us today?
All right, for this next review, we got Mako Tsunami deck. Someone has to play one of those cards since they built a whole legendary duelist pack around it. So, yeah, this whole thing is pretty much based around Yumi and the different support cards that came out of that set. You know, as a show deck, what would hopefully be the evolution of Mako Tsunami if we actually did a decent deck. So, first guy you go to is 3 Citadel Wells. Now, interesting thing about this one is that it allows you to essentially special this sucker out, and it also allows you to set, you know, I forget what it does a couple pretty interesting things. Now, you can only bring out one of the effects once per turn, but it allows you to special summon. If it's special summon, you get to set a Sea Stealth attack. Now, it's that old where it never came out with Sea Stealth 2, so it's specifically the trap card. But the trap card allows you to get back your Yumi, or in this case, Legendary Ocean, anytime it's in the graveyard if you ever need it. And then once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets one water monster you control, you can quick effect, negate the activation, and then destroy the card. So it's protection. It allows you to search for protection, because what Sea Stuff Attack does, it essentially banishes one of your big guys out of the board to protect all your back row. So it allows you to protect your spell and traps that help to control the board, which means if you want, you can later on actually put in a couple of cards that'll essentially help clear out everything, but that's for later. So play 3 of them, and then you play his bigger brother, Mega Fortress Well. Now, this sucker, it's kind of like the bigger evolution. You know, again, everything for these decks needs Yumi to really go off. So with him, if Yumi is on the field, all your guys attack directly if they're water monsters. During your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster you control and destroy it. If this card is on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can either add or special summon out one water warrior monster from your deck or graveyard. Now that one kind of sucks, because the best water warrior monster, of course, is the level 3 legendary fisherman, which cannot be special summoned except through its own effect. So this thing made it so that you could ignore summoning conditions. Oh, of course it'd be broken, but it doesn't, so we kind of just ignore that last effect. Now, the MVP of this deck is the Ocean Dragon. Now, this guy searches out a plethora of stuff while it's on the field. Also, because it's level 5 with Legendary Ocean, you can literally just normal summon this guy. And with the ability to make it so that there can only be one non-water monster on each side of the field, he essentially controls your opponent's flow by making them only have one monster. Because unless they're playing another water deck against you, they're pretty much stuck.
I'd rather have steak with no sauce, salt and pepper.
Then you have
But the beef stew is pretty
one of
good.
Mako's show monsters that we saw in the anime, a Doom Kraken, but as an effect monster. The sucker can bounce monsters off the board and also chump block your opponent's attack. So it kind of becomes like this stumbling block. And then the second MVP, Electric Jellyfish, played at 3. This one allows you to send your Yumi from your deck hand to the graveyard, which if you're playing Sea Stealth Attack, you just automatically get it back and put it on board, so it's no real problem there. Then it also allows you to special summon out a water monster from your hand straight to the field. Doesn't matter which sides it is, it just hits the board, which allows even more play control. But the greatest effect is that if this Yumi is on the field, it allows itself to be a negator. Negator, monster effect, spell, trap, doesn't matter. It negates it once, and then it permanently boosts up its attack and defense by 600. So if it negates twice, it's a pretty beefy jellyfish. And finally, the not so special, hence why it's only a common versus everybody else. Amphibious. This guy is only a real machine, but it's another Yumi card. As if it doesn't have Yumi on the board, it gains 700. Looking at it being 1850 means it comes 2550. But the cool thing is, if Yumi's on board, it can pop a card. So play it at 2 because there is a trap in this deck that allows you to start spamming out all of your different Yumi water monsters. And of course, because we do play a trap that has a pretty nifty effect with guys that are normal water monsters. And the biggest one that I want to play, because it is hollow, is Giant Red Sea Snake.
No 7-colored fish.
Again, hollow. And because, of course, what type of Atlantis deck would anybody be playing if they're not playing Ulti First Edition Warrior of Atlantis?
Okay, so you say no on the Ulti Fusion Destiny for your heroes, but you're okay with Ulti Warrior of Atlantis?
Because there's no Ultra Warrior of Atlantis. You got Rare and Ulti.
That's it?
That is it.
That's crazy.
So this is why you're using Ulti Warrior of Atlantis. If it was a super, I'd play that over this. But that doesn't exist. And like I said before, if you're playing for your Yumi, is Legendary Ocean. Drops, key thing for this one again, you have a 200 attack boost in the fence. Don't really care about that. It's the level modulation. Dropping your waters down by 1 level allows everything else to pop off.
They really reprinted it with that one line, treated as Yumi.
Yep. Permanently treated as Yumi. Which is why all the other Yumi-ish field spells, you can't have like 6 of them. You can only have 3 because they are permanently as a condition counted as Yumi. And then, of course, in this deck as well, we play Fish Sonar. Now you see why I play also those sea snakes. Because this card as well, add a level 7 or lower monster that mentions Yumi. Pretty much the whole damn deck does that. But then also, if Yumi is already on board, allows you to special summon out 1 water monster that is a normal monster. And Sea Snake, giving you an extra body on board for your link summons. Or just battle damage, depends on where you're at. So now, additional spells, another sea stuff that came out after that battle pack. And with this guy, it counts as Yumi as well. So now you have 6 Yumis in your deck. And with this, it can special summon out a monster from your hand or graveyard. So you'll always have a body on board. Now, all the catch is that at the end of the battle phase, the monster does die. But it becomes a constant block if you somehow get him on board, especially him on board, and especially him on board during battle. Because his effect, of course, saying you can only have 1 non-water monster. If you're playing against a deck that is, again, not water monsters, during battle, if this guy hits the board at that point, he will wipe out the majority of your opponent's monsters just because of that condition effect. This one, of course, will then pop a monster, and this one allows you to then set the Sea Stealth. So they're all pretty good having their effects in conjunction with the Sea Stealth rare card.
Sorry, just with the rare card.
Well, it is a rare. They didn't do anything else for upgrades, so use what you got. Also, I played this card multiple times on you, Mario, and it did exactly what I just showed that it did, which did not make you a happy camper.
I'll be honest, I don't remember, but that does sound like me.
Yes, the depths of the sea.
Should have been a marine biologist, Jimmy.
And of course, because Gyarashu allows you to then add stuff that has his name in it, as well as the different sea stealths and everything else. This guy counts, especially as a quick spell, allows you to then start popping your opponent's monsters depending upon how many original level 5 or higher water monsters you have on your field. With a deck that has plenty of them, you can start wiping your opponent's board control on the field. But because it's so dependent on one thing being the level of the monsters on your field, as well as Yumi on board. It's a little bit iffy. That's why it was only at 2. And now the MVP when it comes to trap. Actually, second MVP when it comes to traps. This sucker allows you to spam out your big guys. Also, some nice little bit of anime art because you do see Mako Tsunami's monsters after they got washed out when Yugi attacked the moon and blew out the tide.
Because he cheated.
But these guys aren't, they aren't afraid of that shit because they got a hell of a lot themselves. With this card, it actually sends Yumi to the graveyard itself to special out multiple water monsters. And with the one whale that allows you to actually even get the other sea stuff to bring back the Yumi, it really has no real drawback. And then if your opponent has monsters on board, you then spam out normal monsters that are water onto your board. So you'll end up with a whole field full of water monsters. Hence again why we're playing the sea snakes. So it's a nice bit of spamming and control. And of course, all this time I've been talking about sea stealth attack. Here's the original. With the legendary fisherman himself fighting off, for some reason, fighting Joey and not Yugi.
You mean Panther Warrior?
Well, Joey's Panther Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Unless this is probably going back to Battle City, in which case, okay, that makes more sense. But as you can see, this is the card that pretty much will start juggling your Yumis whenever you need to, and also juggling your water monsters. But also the other effect is that if it has your monster that engages in battle while this thing's on the board, it'll then pop that monster. And if it's if you're, I believe it's level 5 or higher, yeah, you're level 5 or higher, battles an opponent's monster, destroy it, period. So it's pretty good, especially for such an old trap card that supports this deck. And then, since I'm still kind of messing with it, and you really are just playing just straight waters, you got, for your extra deck, just 3 cards for right now. You got My Star Boy, just for the extra boost in attack. And of course, if they destroy this guy, I get to get a water monster. And then she gets to snatch a water monster. So kind of with the whole thing of your field getting stuffed up with monsters, these help mitigate that. And since we're going with cards that mention Yumi, the old school Levia Dragon, which allows you to just destroy everything on the board by sending Yumi to the graveyard. Not too bad there. Just that one. The other Amphibious. The other Rage. And then a card I was debating on main decking, which is Fury. Now Fury allows you to add Torrential Tribute from your hand or from your deck to your hand. Also, it pretty much safeguards your water monsters being destroyed by battle card effect once by banishing stuff out of the graveyard, so it's pretty good at defense. And then, of course, what they search are your torrentials. But all that right now is just side deck because I'm trying to keep it low. And with that, that's all it for this one.
Thank you again, Jimmy. Alright, guys, don't forget to misplay.